Okay, so we kind of got up to the line of scrimmage, had to call an audible, and now we've got Cardinals Seahawks on Sunday Night Football, and I've got Cardinals running back Kenyan Drake with me. Kenyan, interesting situation. You guys are already on a short week, having played on Monday Night Football. I guess this buys you a couple more hours, not much time. But what's your reaction to this game being moved to primetime?
I'm excited. Another opportunity for this team to play on a national stage against a quality opponent, divisional foe at home. So I know a lot of people are excited. I know the fans are excited. We're definitely excited. So, just trying to take it a day at a time. And, when Sunday gets here, we're ready to roll.
Yeah, I think about some of the great coaches in the league, the great motivators in the game. Bill Belichick, Andy Reid. But now I have to bring your mother into the conversation because leading up to Monday Night Football, she calls you before that game and she says what to you?
Yeah, she asked me, was I gonna hit any holes that night, and obviously it was a resounding yes. I was gonna go out there and do anything that my mother asked me, but for her to, I guess really see the schematics of the game and understand that what I did last week wasn't enough. That was motivation enough for me to go out there and do my job to the best of my ability. So like I mentioned before, I hope I made her proud.
Well, you had a fantastic game. Is your mother breaking down game film during the week?
No, I don't think she's breaking down any game film, but obviously she's watched me my entire career. Probably picked the game up, as I've progressed through my career. So, obviously she saw something out there that she didn't like. So she's never been one to. She's a Scorpio, so she's never been one to hold her tongue. So. I definitely appreciate her keeping it candid with me. So hopefully we can keep this good times rolling.
You feel like it was something you needed to hear?
No, for sure. I mean, I'm very critical of myself first and foremost. So I'm understood the things that I need to do to, kind of right the ship, from a personal standpoint. But hearing it from her obviously made it, that much more crucial. So, I mean, we talk pretty much after every game. I really didn't hit her up throughout that week, just, was kind of not necessarily bummed, but, wanted to focus, wanted to kind of, hit the ground running. So she called me before the game and, got my mind right, and, the rest is history.
This looks like an offense that has potential to be very dynamic week in, week out. You have DeAndre Hopkins, who leads the NFL in receptions, receiving yards. Give me something you've learned about him since becoming his teammate.
Yeah, DeAndre is a very competitive person, very fiery person, in practice and especially in the game. And you see the attention he brings in terms of on a defensive side, just with them trying to accommodate, multiple people on him, because leaving one person on him, no matter the competition, is definitely asking for trouble on their end. But when you can do that, that means there's somebody else that can get the ball. And you saw Kyler, throw a dime to Christian Kirk that, was one-on-one coverage. Then you see the running game be able to open up the way it does with just his presence alone. And then, I mean, even if it is double coverage, he can make the spectacular catch routinely. So definitely continue to see, how the season progressed with him, on our side.
We bring it to Kyler Murray because to me, he's one of those athletes that even if you're not a huge football fan, if you turn on the game and you watch him play a little bit, you're like, there's something different here. There's a different aspect to his game that really jumps out. Obviously, the athletic ability, the quick feet. What do you think is the most underrated part of his game?
I definitely feel like the most underrated part is really people think that he's not very vocal, but he definitely gets the job done in between huddle, timeouts, things like that. He's trying to communicate with the line, trying to get everything situated, coming on the sideline, trying to pump the guys up, kind of just the things that you don't see are the things that I feel like makes him what he is. He's very competitive. Doesn't like to lose, doesn't lose much, obviously. So, he goes out there and gives it his all each and every down. And, he's really just spent by the time we get down to the end of the goal line because he's running, he's throwing it, he's trying to communicate, but he doesn't lose a step in those moments. Like, he may look tired or be tired in the huddle, but as soon as he, hike the ball, he's, back to his normal self and, making plays all over the field.
I was looking through your Twitter feed. You're a big Madden guy?
Yeah, I play Madden a little bit.
Okay. What's the difference between playing with Kyler Murray and playing as Kyler Murray in Madden?
Yeah, that's actually funny because Kyler Murray is my fantasy quarterback on the Madden game. So when I'm playing with him, I think I'm like year 2 now, kind of progress him to like, superstar level. He just is, he's the things that he can do on the field, makes him such a dynamic weapon at the position. And I feel like that's what the game is really turning into, those playmakers. You see them all over the league, Deshaun Watson, the Patrick Mahomes. You saw Daniel Jones, take off, run for 21 miles an hour, almost 22 miles an hour last night. I just feel like the athletes at the position are starting to change the game, and he's definitely right up there with everybody.
I feel like Kyler finishes off that run a little bit differently than Daniel.
Oh, yeah, no, for sure. Kyler takes it standing up, probably holding the ball out, doing his normal, shenanigans.
You have a quarterback that you can't take your eyes off. Obviously, you're going against one this week in Russell Wilson. You're on the sideline, and I know you got to communicate with coaches, teammates. Is it hard to not get caught up in watching a guy like Russell Wilson?
Yeah, after we kind of go through that's the normal routine after we come off the field. You can't help but, watch the way he works, and you kind of take into account the things that he does and the offense does, and, you're looking at other, people, just the people in front of you. You kind of can't help but take things that you see what they're doing and maybe apply to what you're doing then and there. I feel like that's what, helps my game out. I may see how a guy may be running or somebody may be finishing, and it's just like, I feel like I want to, go out there, and that's just the natural competitor in me to one up, the competition. And that, is obviously the same for the people that are opposite on offense away from me. So it's like looking at that, it just helps me, get a gauge on how this game is and how I should continue to compete.
I have one more quarterback question because back on September 28th, you tweeted out, Ryan Fitzpatrick is my favorite player, hands down. Yeah. I know you spent some time with him, but your favorite player? Really? Why?
Yeah, Ryan Fitzpatrick is just one of those guys that you can't help but root for. He's played on several different teams, and if you ask anybody on any of those teams, they maybe not as high on him as I am in terms of favorite player, hands down or ever, but, they see him as such a great guy, great locker room guy, obviously very smart, and tough. Like, I feel like that's his best trait, being at the age that he is now. You see him, the play make break down, and he can scramble out the pocket and he finishes runs. He doesn't seem like he doesn't like to go down. Like, he just puts his neck in there and he gets right back up. He sees his chin straps all turned sideways and he's going to the huddle, strapped it back on, and the next play goes. And you can't help but play hard for a quarterback like that. And it's pretty cool to see him do it year in and year out.
Listen, he had an interesting week, obviously, an emotional week. He lost his starting job to Tua. It obviously affected him profoundly. Was that something that you got caught up in that story?
It's kind of double-edged sword because obviously Tua went to Alabama, which is where I went. So I want to, obviously see his career take off. But then also with me knowing Ryan Fitzpatrick personally and being, ex-teammate, seeing the things that he was doing throughout this season and leading the team to where they are now. I'm pretty sure a lot of the players on the team, on the field, on the Dolphins probably mirror my sentiment in terms of being a little disappointed, but, they have to go out there and do their job, and, I guess it's Tua time.
Well, you mentioned Alabama. How much pride do you take in the fact that it feels like year in, year out, one running back, maybe multiple running backs going to the NFL, and it feels like so many of you guys are tearing it up right now?
Yes, it's kind of a spoiled riches when we played there. We had so many backs year in, year out. When I first got there, it was, me and TJ came in at the same time, TJ Yeldon, and Eddie Lacy was, the lead dog then. And then the next year they brought in 4 top 10 backs. Not to mention Derrick Henry and Alvin Kamara in that same class. And then the next year they brought in Bo Scarborough, who's playing in Detroit now, as well as they brought in Damian Harris a year after that, and who's in New England. And then when I left, my boy Josh Jacobs came. So it's like, and I guess the ball just keeps rolling, the tide just keeps rolling.
Well, what's that environment like? I mean, is that a cutthroat competitive environment, or is that camaraderie? What's it like?
I mean, everybody wants to go out there and obviously prove that they belong on the field and, to get the, a certain amount of touches or whatever have you. But it's only one ball and there's so many weapons on that offense in general, not to mention the receivers that have come out of Alabama. Obviously quarterbacks and Jalen Hurts and Tua being dynamic and they're doing their own thing with the ball in their hands. So really the main goal is to win. And that's what Saban really kind of, put into us. Is to kind of go out there, handle your job, and when your number is called, do your job, and that's what we did.
One final question here. You get a big divisional matchup coming up. I think you're obviously in the toughest division in all of football, battling for playoff spots, battle for the division. Now, you just came off a win over a team in the Cowboys that could still potentially go on and win their division. The NFC East obviously is hurting badly this year. That means that they would host a playoff game. How you guys are battling it out just to get in. Does the playoff format need to change?
I mean, at the end of the day, you can only do so much in terms of playing the games that you have in front of you, who you slated against. So we're going to focus on what we can control, which is, playing that schedule, playing every team, as hard as we can, and not really looking forward to, things that we can't control, in the near future. Right now, we got a very tough team in the Seahawks coming in. We take care of business there at home. We're obviously in the driver's seat, but then we have the bye week, and then we're just going to keep, taking one game at a time. So as far as the playoff format being changed, I mean, it just got changed to what it is now, and it added an extra, wild card team in there. So I think I saw somewhere where the NFL on Instagram posted, like, if the playoffs started now, like 3 teams from our division would be in the playoffs. And 2 would be wild card teams with, the winning records that we have. So, I mean, look, as long as you get to the playoffs, like, you have a chance. So that's what we're all trying to do.
I feel like that was a very good and very diplomatic answer. And I feel like your mom would probably like that answer.
No, of course. I mean, she taught me well.
Kenny, thanks so much for doing this.
Yeah, thank you.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.